What's up, good people? You're listening to the Real Sports Time podcast with D-MARL on the Talk 100 Network and Raylan Brook Media. So we got some new information. Came in today. Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson, formerly Houston Texans quarterback, he settled some lawsuits, civil lawsuits that were filed against him, according to attorney Tony Buzbee, in a settlement today. And it's 20 of 24 lawsuits that were filed against Deshaun Watson. And these are civil cases following the criminal case of the sexual misconduct that he alleged assaulted some of these women. Now, March 16th, 2021, just to go back, give a little background here. 25 lawsuits were filed against Deshaun Watson alleging sexual assault and other inappropriate behavior during massage sessions. Of those 25, one was dropped by the plaintiff when the judge ruled that her petition had to be amended with her name, which means she had to say her name on record. She didn't want to do that. So the other 20, Buzbee said, have been settled. And then we have another couple of women who are not, which one of them is Ashley Solis. She's the one who first initially came out and alleged that Deshaun Watson forced her to have oral sex, as well as he exposed himself on the massage table to her. We haven't seen any video or any audio in the scenario, so clarity and proof on the situation with her or any other women, honestly, it's not there. So it's one of those things. And with that being said, you know, Buzbee said Ashley Solis is one of the heroes of this story. Her case has not settled, and thus her story and that of the other 3 brave women will continue. So they're going to keep this going because it's not settled yet. I look forward to trying their cases in due course, consistent with other docket obligations and the court schedule. That's what he said, Tony Buzbee. He's their lawyer down here in Houston, Texas. Listen, like I said, we don't have evidence of what exactly determines what happened in interaction. Now, Deshaun Watson did admit that there was some consensual actions, okay, physical wise, between him and some of the women. But he said it's consensual. He said he did not do any violating with them. This news broke last year after the interaction with Deshaun Watson, who wanted out from the Houston Texans, the dysfunctional Houston Texans. And next thing we know, Tony Buzbee comes out with these allegations. Now, what's also alarming to me, I'm just going to be honest, I'm looking at, there was a recent report, right, from Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg. She did an interview on NBC Sports with Mike Melster, and she said this: "We respect our justice process. I love the law. It's designed to get to the truth. That's really what people want. I don't think as a culture we can live with injustice. Remember, a grand jury no bill is not an exoneration. People, even when they clear the criminal justice system, often face accountability and repercussions in other parts of our legal system." That's true, Kim Ogg. But why are you leaving the innuendo of, hey, read between the lines, we couldn't prosecute him because we didn't have the evidence, but you still may, hey, a public or court opinion, you still may need to come to another justice in your head on him. Wait a minute. That's not even what your position is supposed to be. You're in search of the law. You're a district attorney. She said this. She said, "And so I think to determine whether justice was done in this case, you are going to have to wait and see how it comes out on the civil side." The civil side is money. What do you mean? Settlements happen all the time. For money, it doesn't mean exact guilt. She said, wait to see how it comes out on the civil side and how things go, and the NFL and on the administrative side of things for them. Well, we know the NFL, there's a personal code of conduct rule that is in place for players that play for teams in the NFL. And so if you impugn the shield of the NFL, yes, you could get disciplined. That means if you get caught in the car with some drugs, if you have a DUI, if you have some kind of form of domestic violence, if you get caught on camera violating somebody and hurting somebody or fighting somebody in a bar, anything that makes yourself look bad as well as the league, yes, you will get disciplined per the code of conduct law. Now, that being said, let's go to what Harris County. Let's go to what Harris County. They had no indictment, okay? They had no indictment. In fact, the lawsuits filed by the 22 women, the grand jury decision came about a year after the women first filed their suits, accusing Deshaun Watson of exposing himself, touching them with his penis, or kissing them against their will during massage appointments. One woman alleged Watson forced her to perform oral sex. Ashley Solis is the one who said that. Houston police began investigating Watson on April 2021 after a criminal complaint was filed. The FBI also was reviewing their allegations. Prosecutors presented evidence and testimony to the grand jury for over 6 hours. And Johanna Stallings, chief of the Adult Sex Crimes and Trafficking Division with the Harris County District Attorney's Office, said she declined to say what possible charges were presented to the grand jury for consideration. We respect the grand jury's decision, Stallings said. Stallings said that the decision ended criminal proceedings related to Watson in Harris County, where Houston is located. So she said that the decision ended criminal proceedings. That means that there was no criminal proceedings after the investigation and the evidence was presented. They did not pursue a criminal case on Deshaun Watson. But now here we are. It's a civil case that's filed, which means, hey, for my pain and suffering, for what I went through allegedly, or some part of it, or some of it was true, or however that may look, because none of us was there, we don't have any video, I at least want to get some financial compensation for this, which means you got to pay. Okay, so that's where we are now with this. Now the NFL is going to come back and they'll do their suspension. Okay, but here's what I'm going to get to, the other part of what I want to do today in this segment for you guys here on the Real Sports Time podcast. I'm going to deconstruct First Takes segment they did last week. Stephen A., Chris Russo, and Molly Carroll, with how they was pushing things pretty much like, hey, listen, public opinion, make him guilty, okay? Because, listen, this don't look right. This don't look right. If people just say things and it's too many people saying it, it has to be true. Well, in some cases, yeah, but not all the time, and it's not a guarantee. And where's all the facts? Now, yes, I don't like that Deshaun Watson found himself in a situation like this. This is crazy. That you in a situation where you have to defend something that you didn't do. Okay? So if he didn't do it, then that is bad. Then now, because, okay, whatever fetish is or whatever it is that he has to defend that now if he truly didn't do it. Because now there's a multitude of people saying, hey, he did this. We truly weren't there, so we don't know. But here's First Take. Like I said, I'm gonna play some of this stuff. Chris Russo, I definitely got a few things to say about him and Molly. Listen to this. This is what Chris Russo said on First Take last week.
Those two girls that the HBO had were tremendous, very convincing, crying on set and everything else. They brought the defense attorney, one of them for Watson, on at late 11th hour. They wanted to come on and have their opinion thought, and when they try to discredit 3 or 4 of the 22, here's the bottom line. We all know Watson did something wrong, okay? For the public opinion, you'd be lost if you didn't think Watson did something wrong. Incredibly inappropriate behavior.
Hang on, Chris. Hold on, Chris Russo. First of all, we know something happened, but I don't know. I do not, D-MARL, I don't know that for sure he absolutely did something wrong. Again, I don't like that he found himself in a compromising position to where he can get accused. But the fact of, did he actually do something wrong? I don't know that.
That girl crying her eyes out when she make this stuff up. 22 of them made them up. You want to disparage 3, 4 of them that they reached out to Watson after this alleged scenario?
People all right, make stuff all the time.
Not 22. Okay, 22. It's not 2 people. It's 22. And the Browns deserve a lot of grief here. Haslam, that owner who's got issues with his tire company, he never did it. You know, he never even talked to any of these women. He never talked to their representation. All he wants is a quarterback. I understand.
Hang on, Chris. Wait, first of all, who said them women made themselves available? There's 2 of them that make themselves available for media and officially to go on record. The other women, who said they made themselves available to Deshaun Watson's attorney or the Cleveland Browns so they can do that part of their diligence? But now you're sitting there talking about the Cleveland Browns because what they did is looked on that Harris County court docket, and I just read it to you, that the decision ended in criminal proceedings related to Watson in Harris County, which is the county for Houston, Texas, where I also live myself. That's what they looked at, and some other things. What are you talking about, Chris?
Baker Mayfield hasn't won. I also understand that the Browns haven't been to a Super Bowl and they haven't done anything since 1964 when they beat the Colts. I get that, 34-0. I get all that. But the Browns should sit there and say, geez, do we want this guy representing our organization? And let's at least do an investigation that is somewhat legitimate before we go out there and give the guy $235 million.
What's not legitimate about the docket and the district attorney's office, criminal-wise, that they're not going to proceed, Chris Russo? And by the way, you do a criminal case and then you follow with civil lawsuit. So the civil lawsuit wasn't even in place. When the Cleveland Browns went down there and did their diligence and they looked at the docket, they had conversations with the franchise, the Houston, Texas, the dysfunctional Houston, Texas, okay? And who said they didn't reach out to the women to try to get some information and they had success? Maybe they didn't. Maybe when they spoke to a couple of them that they could reach, that yes, they drew their own conclusions. Same thing the NFL has to do. The NFL interviews some of the women too. And you don't know that they don't find that information after they spoke with them to be completely just clear. You don't know that. See, we're just saying stuff. You're coming to final conclusions. This is what bothers me.
Did not do that. That was apparent last night. The Browns can say anything they want. They did not do that. And Steve is 100% right. What is Goodell waiting for? What are you waiting for, Raj? Right. We talked to Watson. What do you mean? He embarrassed your league. There's something to this. All right? You want to give him he should be sitting there. He shouldn't be in training camp. The Browns knew that something was cooking here. They only gave him $1 million for this year's contract because they want to save him the money. The NFL should say, hold on, you can't circumvent the cap that way. That's nonsense. We're suspended for 2 years. Watch.
Hang on. The league office for the NFL cannot tell the franchise that you can't bring him on the roster. What they can do is enforce discipline that he can't go on the field and play. They can hire him. What are you talking about? By the way, they hired Kareem Hunt. Okay? They hired Kareem Hunt a couple months after his situation, which wasn't good. That we did see on video. We actually seen on video what he did, Kareem Hunt. And Kansas City Chiefs let him go. But he got suspended. I forgot how many games it was. It might have been for the whole season. It may have been 8 or 10 games, I think. But Chris, you're way out of line. They can't circumvent the cap. They can shift their cap the way they want to under the rules. That's not illegal what they did. move their cap space around. If they want to only pay Deshaun $1 million for this year, and if he loses that, based off possible suspension for the whole next season coming up, and then they give him the rest of his money guaranteed, $249 million going forward, that's coming out of their check, out of their business account, Chris. Not out of the NFL's and not out of yours. What are you talking about?
Should not be playing a large part of next year. I'll let everybody else decide what the suspension should be. But if anybody saw that last night, or if anybody who has seen this develop over the last 10, 12 months, whatever it might be, read the newspaper stories, Sports Illustrated did a big thing about it, watched what we saw last night, everybody knows that Watson did something that was terrible. Something. He did something. And he should be punished for that. And I don't know what the hell's waiting for. Raj, nobody cares about the Pro Bowl, all right? Well, we're going to freaking think about the Pro Bowl. Nobody's interested, all right? You got a big quarterback for the Browns who's going to be in training camp in a few weeks, whatever the case may be. He should not be allowed to be there.
Guess what? Newsflash, he's already there running drills. They're not going to restrict him from doing that. When they hand down his discipline, suspensions of some games, that's going to include the preseason, and that's going to include the regulation games for the season. That's when that will start. You're going into the whole nuances of how he shouldn't be at the facility and all this other stuff. Matter of fact, what is he doing? He shouldn't even got his house yet in Cleveland. What are you doing? This is what I'm talking about. I understand we got to do these segments. I'm doing the same thing. But I just don't get crazy with it on, man, he shouldn't even have to do, what do you? Here's Stephen A. Smith.
That's what you should do. Listen, and you shouldn't have your
Can I just say one thing, Stephen A.? And it doesn't feel like he was punished. It feels like he was awarded. And this is where my mind goes as a woman.
Hang on one second. Molly Curran, and I'm sorry, it wasn't Stephen A. Smith yet. This is Molly Curran. Let me just say this about what she's saying right now. She just said it looks like he wasn't punished, but this looks like he's been rewarded. Molly, he has not been banned from his career. What are you talking about? He's not being rewarded. What do you mean? A team can put him on their roster and hire him. If he gets disciplined, which he is, then he'll serve his discipline. But he's not being rewarded because he's hired by another franchise. He's a professional football player still. He's not ostracized like they did Colin Kaepernick, which was crazy, who didn't break any rules at all, but got whitewashed out of the league. Don't get me started. Now she's going to go into her whole diatribe, of course, and taking it to how the women will now not feel empowered. Listen to Molly. Go ahead, Molly.
I don't want this to deter other women dealing with sexual misconduct, domestic violence, abuse, to be afraid to speak out now. Because they feel that they won't be protected, they won't be believed, they won't be threatened. You're valued and you should be respected everywhere you go. You should be respected in your home. You should be respected in your workplace. You are not a second-class citizen and your voice matters. And I just applaud Kayla Hayes, I think that was her name, and Ashley Solis for coming forward in front of the camera and standing up for all those women. And that's just my fear here. So I just want any woman at home dealing with any of these situations, please come forward. There are people that believe you and there are people that care. I promise you. Don't let this deter you.
Molly Querum, you're right. Anybody who is a victim of sexual assault, domestic violence, or anything, any kind of abuse, should come forward, okay? But in this case, and in this situation, those women did come forward. Some of them halfway came forward, and they did not speak up other than those few women. And again, we don't have the proof that violation happened on all those women that are saying these different things happened. So I understand you're going past that and you're going to women in general, making sure they come forward. Well, they should. But in this case right here, we don't have evidence that there was a violation done. Stephen A. Smith, I'll just let him say a few words because I got a few things to address on him, on deconstructing that part, but I had to get to this. Let's listen to Stephen A. Smith. Here he is, right here.
Let me say this. They were incredibly brave. And like I used the phrase on many occasions, doggy, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it ain't a mongoose, meaning that where there's smoke, there's fire. There's something everywhere. You got 22 different women accusing you of something. You got a problem. Ain't no damn way around that. We know that. But
he said if 22 women accuse you, you got a problem. There's no problem with getting massages. There's no problem with people doing things if they decide consensually in whatever that manner is. The problem is, yes, if somebody accuses you, but now once the accusation happens, Stephen A. Smith, that has to be proven. You can't just say, I'm doing, this happened to me, this person did this or this, and it's not proven. And then we sit there and say, yeah, it was true. Well, did we see it? Well, no, but I mean, it's a bunch of people saying it, so it's got to be true. What?
the question was, how does the NFL look? That was the question. And so what I'm saying is that in the United States of America, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. We know that's not applicable. We know that's not the real world, because that's as it applies to the justice system, not as it applies to the court of the public opinion. So the public feels one way about Deshaun Watson based on these allegations. The court system has said something else. Now we get down to the nitty-gritty. What position should a sports league have? Because what we have is a situation where you have folks looking for corporations, for conglomerates, for people in positions of power to make decisions that the justice system either couldn't or wouldn't. So now that we have to ask ourselves that question about the National Football League, where does the trepidation comes in? I'll tell you where. There's nobody that's going to trust a league to do the right things when it comes to the people that represent their brand. Because if it compromises the brand, how can you trust them? If you sit up there and just say, hey, the hell with the justice system. You know what, Deshaun Watson? You found yourself with these allegations, and guess what? We believe you're guilty. Well, then you're going to have people asking, okay, did you do that with, you did that with Deshaun? Would you do that with somebody else? You're going to have people bringing up all of these questions. Nobody trusts the leagues. And so the league has an obligation to know that and stick to what they know. I don't have to worry about the public trusting me if all I honor is my shield. Meaning, this is the NFL. You do something to impugn our name and our integrity of this shield. This is what's coming down the pike. We don't give a damn what the justice system says. We're coming for you because this is our league.
They didn't say they weren't going to do that, Stephen A. What are you talking about? You're creating something as a problem that isn't showing itself to be a problem. What are you doing? First of all, they're going to give Deshaun Watson some kind of discipline for violating the code of conduct law. They're going to do that. What are you talking about? So they didn't hurry up and do it fast enough for you, and so this is where your issue is. Yes, they don't have to go by the justice system, but if they want to iron out certain facts so they can see, so they can measure. How about the fact they want to measure what the gravity should be on what the discipline is going to be? Is it going to be 4 games? Is it going to be the rest of the season? He's already served 1 season too, by the way. Retro. Houston Texans had him on ice last season. Nothing happened with him. He sat out. He didn't sit on his own. They sat him down because of these allegations and because of all of this stuff. The Houston Texans did. Now, officially, the NFL may sit him down for one more season. So that'll make 2 seasons that he's out. What are you talking about? You're just saying this as a talking piece to make something seem like, hey, we want to show how hard everybody should be coming down on him with or without proof. This is my problem with that. It just gets crazy. And like I said, anything that's done wrong and is proven, then that should be dealt with. The fact that you're in a situation that you shouldn't be in that looks crazy or whatever, yes, discipline comes behind that too. So again, if they're going to discipline him, which they are, because he violated the code of conduct rule, the personal code of conduct rule for the NFL. So we'll just wait. We'll see what happens with what kind of sentencing the NFL hands down to Deshaun Watson. But Deshaun is settled with 20 of these women, the other couple of women, there was 3 more left, that he's going to, I'm sure, settle. This is not going to be a long, drawn-out thing, so we'll hear about that next too, and we'll follow up on it. And I'll be right back to give another segment on this topic, but I just wanted to come on. That's new news today with this settlement. Everybody's been talking about it and jumping in it and just putting their guilty verdict on the situation and everything else. I'm not doing that so much. I'm not doing it so much because I don't know fully what happened. But again, bad situation that he found himself in. But the fact of how wrong he was and how all the details played out, I don't know that. We don't fully 100% know it. But here's what we do know. The Harris County District Attorney's Office did not file criminal charges. That's the end of it. Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit the like button, share, subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep this thing moving. I've been away for a minute, but I'm about to get back to getting these segments. When the NFL starts, I'm going to also get back to play-by-play action, okay, and game reaction to the NFL, to these sports. Because you know I got my couple teams that I follow for sure, like Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to be watching the NFL champions, the NFL Super Bowl champions, that is, the Rams. Okay, and there's going to be a lot of things going on this season in NFL. Congratulations, too, by the way, to, first of all, the Boston Celtics for making it to the championship. Nobody counted them to make it. They looked at Brooklyn. They looked at Milwaukee. They looked at Philadelphia. But Boston showed up in the Eastern Conference. They did give a tough series into those last couple of games. I thought they could have pulled it out. But the rookie, the inexperience, and on the coaching level, too, they came up short. And just that pedigree and that championship wheel from Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors just took over. Congratulations. 4th championship for the Golden State Warriors within the last, 6-7 years or so. So congratulations to them for getting back there and winning it. But thanks for listening to the Real Sports Time podcast. I'm D-MARL. We're on the Talk 100 Network and Rated Brook Media. And make sure y'all keep it locked, listen out. Spotify, all of your streaming platforms. This will be out on every single one of them. Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and all the rest. Thanks for listening again. I'll see you again real soon.